Okay. So let's start the Townhall number 13. Are you ready, guys?
Let's get after it.
Okay. I see your name, Michael. You are the XP stealer right now. I see it right.
Yeah, I had to update it since I figured out how to use the bot commands.
Yeah, man. I see you really active lately. So yeah, let's start. Let's go straight to business. We have a really good agenda for today. We'll have some guests. At first, Michael, you will open, telling us a little bit of the updates, that what's been going on last week. It has been like crazy busy for us, you may imagine, but always having fun. And then we will have two important ecosystem leaders from Solana and Serum. Next, we will hear from Republic Crypto on the co-creation of the economics white paper. And then we will jump into the classic Q&A, as we always do in our town halls. So Michael, if you want, you can start by telling us, this has been a busy week. Tell us what were the updates, what happened around the Star Atlas metaverse.
Yeah, thanks, Santi. It's been a real crazy week. I think a bunch of you know I endured a hurricane. We had massive growth across the community. But maybe more importantly, we got a big shout out from SBF on Twitter. That was pretty cool, man. So yeah, man, I'm just trying to catch my breath here, guys. Like I said, it's been real busy, jamming a lot, but some of the things that we were really focused on and the big updates were obviously the secondary follow-up announcement related to the token generation event, where we announced the mechanics and specifications for how you could participate across ftx.com in the IEO, or how you could participate at Radium, which is a decentralized AMM and decentralized exchange, and also Apollo X. And Apollo X is a BSC-based launchpad, but one of the cool things that they'll be producing for this is a launch party experience, which will last some 2.5 hours. It will have a couple of DJ sets and a cinematic experience that you can enjoy as we're kicking off the
people had some
itself.
questions about the Apollo, like how it's going to be the experience of the DJs and everything. Is it going to be in the background, or how it's going to be?
Yeah, it's pre-recorded, and both of the DJs performed in front of a green screen, so you'll see them laid out in this space-themed environment, and we'll just have some great music playing, and we'll just be hanging out and having a blast, And just with respect to those questions, Santi, you and I recorded a video. Was it yesterday or the day before? And we just tried to address a bunch of the questions that were out there in the community. So hopefully you guys, if you got a chance to watch that, took some value out of it, cleared up a few of the questions. We do want to make sure that everybody gets a fair chance to participate, and that's one of the primary reasons why we did split access up across multiple exchanges. They all have their own underlying requirements, but nevertheless, we wanted people to be able to get exposed to Star Atlas early. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you don't get access to the tokens in the token generation event, fear not. It doesn't negatively impact your ability to play the game. We'll be having the Galactic Asset offering coming up soon. You can still purchase assets from us, your ships and your crew members, land assets and space stations eventually, and we're rolling that out. We've got a very strategic schedule behind how assets will be released, but nevertheless, you will be able to access and you will be able to get into the game and start earning those rewards. So by no means is the TGE your only way in. It's really just the first way in, which gives you access to those in-game assets: Atlas, the transactional currency, and the Polis DAO, which is naturally the decentralized autonomous organization that will ultimately go on to drive the development decision-making process of the evolution of Star Atlas itself. So what else? Let's see. I mean, there was so much happening. Oh, another major drop was the economic paper that came out on Tuesday. And so we worked with Republic Crypto, really going back to June, to make sure that we could dial that in and create an economy that we believe will be sustainable in the long term. And given the objectives of Star Atlas as a project and what we really want to accomplish here of a perpetually surviving and evolving, call it digital organism, for which the players will have direct influence and impact on, for in future generations. We knew how critical it was that the economy functioned well and was not purely extractive, and also provided a fair distribution of rewards out to the people that are contributing value back. And that also incorporates the way that the governance model within the game works with our faction-based DAOs, our regional DAOs, our local DAOs, and then decentralized autonomous clan corporation DAOs, which is the clans in the game. But really exciting. The team over at Republic Crypto did some fantastic work with us, and I'm really pleased with the outcome of that paper. It is still just a starting point. We've got a lot of research to do and data analysis to do going forward, but ultimately we felt this was a great starting point, and naturally we will take feedback from the community as well as our own data analysis of what's taking place in the game and use that to reiterate on the paper over time. So meta posters, we also introduced the model where there was the ticketing system for the token generation event. And so the ticketing system was just our way of giving back to those existing supporters within the Star Atlas universe ecosystem. And the mechanics work a little bit differently from Radium to Apollo. We were not able to facilitate these tickets on FTX, but nevertheless, you do still have those two options across the satellite launch pads. And what again was important to us, and what I would stress here, is that we want to create perpetual utility and value behind these assets that you're buying today. And so, if you were a poster holder, not only do you have a digital collectible, based on where you reached in the tier system, you're also getting in-game rewards that will allow you to execute and deploy assets in-game and start earning right away. But we've enhanced that now just to demonstrate how some of the assets that we dropped in that reward system will benefit you going into the future. And so the first step was just to allow you to get greater access or higher chances of getting access to the token sale itself. And once again, just the starting point. And we think it's a really nice benefit on top of all of the existing intrinsic value of the posters themselves. So let's see. Really so much going on, guys. Yeah, man. I mean, I am just I Friday late in the day. It's been a crazy week, 15-hour days, and I know that's same for everybody across the company. We've been super active in the channels, and I think we've gotten a lot of those outstanding questions responded to. But beyond that, recap on updates that we have coming in the very near future, which includes the launch of our brand new website. It includes the launch of a cinematic teaser trailer, giving you some indication of what the game is going to look like and feel like going into the future. And super excited from our engineering side to not only have succeeded in launching our own fully functional Serum integrated decentralized marketplace with buy-sell functionality and order books and quantity selections and order history coming out real soon, but also looking into the future and looking at the issuance of all of the NFTs that represent the various game assets, and launching of a new homepage which gives a detailed explanation of kind of a summary of sorts of the various mechanics, explainer, and also getting into what will be the first iteration of the minigame, which is largely just a registration process to start, but having things in place like faction selection, leaderboards, profile creation, and inventory management, all within the portal. And that leads into some of these other innovative features that we have coming out related to securing your player name and guild selection. So we think the leaderboards are going to be really cool. It's going to be a fun feature to interact with, and just super looking forward to having the rest of the minigame features roll out in very near succession. So just on that point, to clarify, we do think our roadmap on the minigame is going to take us into Q1 of next year. So, January, February, maybe as late as March. And we really try not to put any hard dates on this stuff, because as I've mentioned in the past, we're exploring a brave new world. This is all new territory, and what we're doing has truly never been done before to the extent that we're doing it. Working in this AAA capacity with the game mechanics and game pillars that we're building out. And so naturally, that discovery process, that research and development that needs to take place can lead to delays. But what's most important for us is that your assets are secure, that you guys are having fun, and that we're delivering the best possible product. So we're not delaying for any other reason than to give you a better experience going into the future. And so beyond that, I'll just close on a little bit about the progress that we're making in Unreal Engine 5. Now, many of you know that we are really building out 2 concurrent products. The intent behind doing that is we want to give you immediate experiences and immediate exposure, and then also be able to factor in your feedback along the way so that we can create and refine what this product that we've envisioned, we can refine that to ensure that we're delivering, what the community really wants. And so we're building the mini game. That's one track. On the other side, we have a 3D game production team that is working in Unreal Engine. And you guys will have seen probably over the past week that we've actually started dropping shots of our actual assets for which you've seen the concept art in the past. But we've started dropping shots of actual in-game assets in Unreal Engine. So a lot of progress taking place on a game launcher and really, things like networking protocols and the initial development of assets that are going to go in the game with really refined hard surfaces. And, if you didn't catch last week's town hall, I'd highly encourage you just giving a listen to that, because Danny goes into depth about all of the benefits that we're going to derive by working with Unreal Engine 5, and the technology coming out like Nanite and Lumite, and, just how well that technology is going to help us deliver a high quality cinematic product. So that's kind of high level, Santi. Real quick summary. I do want to make sure we save time for the star-studded panel that we have joining us today. So I'm going to stop there, and maybe we'll just move on to the next section.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you very much for all the details. As I always say, we're on fire, man, here, like in the town hall and also in the channels. So let's switch gears here, and let's speak a little bit about Solana. We have Bartosz here from Solana. Bartosz, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, happy to be here, and thanks for having me. Totally. So I'm a core engineer at Solana. I primarily focus on product engineering, so building on top of the Solana blockchain. So think like reference implementations and general products that you're building on Solana. So when I joined, I started building like automated market makers, borrow lending platforms, and most recently, I helped the Metaplex Foundation build the NFT standard for Solana.
Okay. So it sounds really good. So Solana has been mooning the past week. It's been crazy. What do you think, guys? Like this question is for everyone. Like what is causing this movement in the Solana price?
So maybe from my side, I think it's just like organic growth. I think the crypto community is seeing that with the more projects launching from the hack, more NFT projects that are actually producing crypto, like the growth in the actual users, people are seeing that Solana is not just a chain about the DeFi and maybe big firms trading, but also actual retail participating. And that's why with the launch of this like big NFT generative products that happened like last week, people are like, oh, there's actual demand from the users. So there's something happening there. And I would expect more of that happening with the teams that are coming from the previous hackathon. So what you are seeing right now is the efforts that people put in like 3 months ago, and the last hackathon closed like a month ago. So you should see more products like options market, like options trading from Zeta markets popping up in coming months from the like last hackathon.
Yeah, man. So we can say that Solana is just getting started right now. So I have more questions for you, Bartosz. And it's about Star Atlas and gaming in general in Solana. How do you see the future of gaming in Solana?
So I think with Solana high throughput and cheap transaction costs, platforms like Star Atlas can really benefit with more interesting mechanics that you can introduce into the games. I think in the past, the games that you had on the blockchain needed to limit sometimes the mechanics that are involving crypto due to like economic limitations, where Solana is enabling you to incorporate that more into the game. So I'm super excited about all the ideas that you guys are having, especially with like purchasing lands and building like custom ships from multiple like different parts that you trade between people.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank you very
Santi.
much, man. Yeah, I hear you,
Hey,
Michael.
I think we've got so many people joining the Discord that it's getting a little buggy with voice. But hey, I just wanted to ask on the last question with respect to the Solana pump. You know, obviously we've been big supporters for a long time. We definitely saw the potential in Solana, but by show of hands out there in the audience, how many of you think that Star Atlas is having a positive impact on Solana? Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the
we
posters
also
are great.
also a lot of NFT projects coming in Solana. Like we have like drops of NFT projects like every day. I have been minting like like crazy, man. It's been awesome. Like the past weeks in Solana have been really fun.
Yeah, I hope those projects will, you know, some of them had like early issues. I hope we'll soon have like a really good open source reference implementations that people can like lift and really focus on the art rather than the technical portions of like how to launch it properly. But if anyone in the audience is thinking about launching their own NFT projects, don't hesitate to reach out before you actually go live. We are always happy at Solana to help review the code and talk about the architecture. We have been doing that with Star Atlas folks for quite a while, and it's an amazing team.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. Yeah, amazing. And I think it's really helpful for new projects to know that there's support from the Solana side and they can get in contact with you guys. So thank you. We also have here on stage Adrian from Project Serum. Adrian, please introduce yourself. How are you?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. My name's Adrian. I'm from Project Serum. You know, I manage the relationships with our developer ecosystem. You know, our community. You know, I support with marketing and general operations. And yeah, you know, I spent the last 12 months working at FTX. You know, we have a number of advisors that we're working on Serum, and more recently we've sort of moved into full-time roles. And yeah, really just doubling down on our efforts now to grow the ecosystem. You know, ensure the community and the developers, you know, have everything they need to, you know, to build great DeFi and gaming products on Solana.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. And can you please explain what is Serum to someone, for example, that don't know about what Serum is? Why is it important for the ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, maybe I'll just do a quick intro about Serum, and then yeah, I'll give you a quick overview of why we think it's important.
Okay,
You know, Serum. So for those who don't know, Serum it's a decentralized exchange that operates very differently to other decentralized exchanges, such as say like Uniswap. And so in short, like what we're providing is basically this like framework for having an order book, which is a different type of market structure. You know, so we're providing an order book for any market so that any app on Solana can compose directly with that market without having to spin up their own liquidity. And so, you know, right now, the order book supports SPL token transfers, which, you know, is great for trading in-game fungible or non-fungible assets, such as, you know, what we would expect to see on, say, Star Atlas. You know, the DEX, the decentralized exchange, so Serum launched on the 31st of August last year. You know, at the time, there really weren't any other applications beyond, say, like basic tooling or wallets on Solana. And so, DeFi was pretty much only just starting to take off on Ethereum at the time. And so as a team, we've really been backing Solana, and we're so happy to see the ecosystem grow to where it is today. But so our vision is really to become sort of like this important layer of infrastructure for Solana. So, at the end of the day, like, one of our biggest customers are developers that are building apps, and, they want to use our infrastructure. And so we want to create like an ecosystem where, end users don't even realize they're using Serum. And so developers can rely on us and focus on, other important parts of their project. And so, yeah, we're very excited to be providing this layer of infrastructure for Star Atlas.
Let me interrupt you there and say that on that the integration, and people really don't know that they are using Serum. Our marketplace is fully integrated with Serum. So you really are using Serum when you use our marketplace that we have built. So yeah, for the people who don't know, that's what Serum is doing. And also another question for you is, why did Serum decide to partner with Star Atlas? What did you guys see in Star Atlas?
Yeah, I guess, well, the first thing is, just how appreciative we are for the Star Atlas team and the community. I guess just bringing this, there's a lot of creativity that has come, from NFTs, and it's sort of bringing a new type of user, which we really appreciate. And since day one, we've been working really hard to encourage an open and composable kind of community on Solana. So I really appreciate the trust you guys have put into us to support what we see as one of the more exciting applications in crypto just generally, right? Because at the end of the day, gaming is going to bring the next million or however many million users, right? So to answer your question more directly, I guess, like, if we're being honest with ourselves, like, financial users are quite sticky, and getting users to transition from the old world to the new world is going to be a very slow process over many years. So DeFi itself, for us, like, it only represents a specific niche of users. And what we've seen over the last 6 months with with NFTs and new inflow of users into DeFi and crypto, we think gaming has massive implications for crypto, and will be one of the things that brings many more users into the ecosystem.
Yeah, gaming is gaining popularity, and play to earn, for example, is crazy, and the possibilities are infinite for people. So yeah, I agree with you. Michael, I would love to hear if you have any comments on this. Well, we have Alex as well from Republic. Alex, please raise your hand so we can let you in stage for the next section.
Yeah, I absolutely do have comments. I mean, there were a lot of reasons why we selected Solana initially as our protocol of choice for building Star Atlas, but really given the scope of what we wanted to accomplish at Star Atlas, and ultimately moving into, great, we've got them up there. Ultimately wanting to move as much of the game logic on chain as possible, and really, if feasible, move everything into a decentralized ecosystem where there's really no true backend, traditional centralized backend infrastructure. So that's a really, really big, ambitious vision. But our belief was that something like that would only really be possible with Solana. But one of the other big reasons we selected Solana was just seeing the kind of buy-in from groups like Serum and the teams behind FTX, and seeing the development of Serum itself. We have a big component of our game that is also going to be driven on DeFi. So not only are we NFTs plus gaming plus blockchain, but we want to be able to provide our users with the ability to take advantage of many of the same protocols that exist in DeFi today. Essentially the ability to generate additional yield off of assets that they've earned in the game. And so Serum was the immediate solution for that. And on top of that, being a great partner with Solana just really seemed like a perfect fit for us. So we're super thrilled to be building on Solana, working with Serum, and beyond the tech, the teams have just been so supportive, from everything from business development to assisting us with marketing, getting our name out there, and getting us some exposure and helping to bring us users, which is so important for any product, but a video game in particular. So thank you guys for all of the work that you're doing, all of the help that you're providing to us, and just the great product that you're building on your side.
Okay. So I think we finished the segment of the Solana ecosystem right now. And thank you guys. Thank you, Adrian. And thank you, Bartos, for joining today. It's been awesome having you here. And thank you for all the comments that you guys brought into the table.
Thank you. Happy to always be here.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. It's a pleasure. So we have Alex here. Alex is from Republic. It's the economic team that has been working with us to build the core of our metaverse, that is the economy, amongst other things, of course. And Alex, can you please introduce yourself? How are you?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Santi. And thanks for this awesome panel of people here, Michael, and the Serum team and Solana team. I'm Alex. I'm one of the managing directors here at Republic Crypto, and I specifically lead our economics research and mechanism design. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. Star Atlas was actually the first video game that I ever pulled the trigger on for Republic Crypto, and that's because a lot of the infrastructural pieces were really in a line here. Namely with the financial infrastructure of Solana and Serum.
Okay, so I have some questions for you, Alex. The main one is what was the main objective that Republic had in mind while collaborating with Star Atlas to develop the Star Atlas Economics and Tokenomics paper?
Absolutely. So long story short, what we try to do with any of our projects regardless is make sure that it's a name that becomes an institution and whose users learn to remember and continually use the game for decades to come. With Star Atlas, when it came to us, we initially attacked it from two different angles, from an in-game economics perspective and the tokenomics perspective. And we ultimately treated it like a 3-token design model, right? One that controlled governance, one that was an in-game currency, and then a marketplace of natural resources and aspirational structures. And so that's how we approached it from a generalized standpoint. And our number one goal was to actually simulate a type of arms race between multiple, in this case, 3 major factions. And to do so, thinking about how users could potentially even spend a lifetime playing in this game, earning from it, exploring the outer reaches of space. And so it was a really intersectional initiative here where we combined a lot of our more traditional knowledge of macroeconomics and game theory, along with the financial, economics and modeling of the token econ world. And so our take always was that, and always has been that, for an NFT project to really thrive, these natural resources, it needs to rely on a larger pool of a larger market in order to fuel its whole economy. And so to that effect, we saw the infrastructure that Serum and Solana provided as a way to build an otherwise in-game economy that would not have to rely on its own liquidity. And so with that in place, we ended up choosing to go with a type of model where we could allow users to pursue multiple different roles as opposed to hyper-specialized ones, in an effort to make sure that everybody feels like they can encounter new adventures as they max out on certain skills. As a gamer myself, I've experienced lots of fatigue going through other MMOs and sort of getting bored from an endless grind on these curves that would ultimately taper off and leave me stranded, either prompting me to go play another game or make a new account. I think the cool thing about Star Atlas is that you can have a very holistic approach, and that's why we took a skill tree based user experience. So if you want to really max out on resource management and you're a huge, say, like StarCraft player, you can do that. Or if you're really into PvP combat, you can do that. And you can do so and collectively benefit the rest of your faction by dedicating more and more time to one account, one character. So yeah, that's the main thing. And then the really interesting thing I want to mention here is the land economy. And this is something we've chose to do very differently than a lot of other, quote unquote metaverses out there. And so many of you, some of you in the audience may know of a very obscure economist called Henry George. And from him, we took one of the principal implementations of taxing land instead of income, something called a land value tax. And in this case, our main goal in the land value tax is to minimize the amount of dead, unproductive land by using the DAO to set a taxation rate of the land that is taken on per epoch, and therefore would sort of incentivizes or forces all landowners to actually make use of their land and generate a margin on top of the tax they're making. And as a trade-off, the Star Atlas platform does not make any taxes on income, as we're trying to maximize the productive output of the whole system. Which really brings me back to that first point where we're taking a lot from traditional macroeconomic theories.
Whoa, man! Thank you for all the details. Like that was awesome. I was listening like really carefully to all the things that you said, man. I'm sure that the audience is as well, like me. So we will transition into the Q&A. And I will invite you guys to stay here because some questions could be related to what you guys do in your projects. So yeah, and I invite the crowd to raise the hand if you have any questions, and we will start letting people in to do the live Q&A.
Santi, and while we're waiting just to get somebody up on stage with us to ask their question, I just want to take a moment to thank Alex for joining us today. Alex, it's been amazing working with you over the past couple of months. Obviously, we have a long-term relationship. I also wanted to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about Republic Realm Fund, which invests specifically in metaverses. Do you have any comments you'd like to share on that?
Absolutely. So, at Republic, our whole goal as we've expanded and grown is to be able to add as many products, services, in this case, fund deployments to help our companies. And our team, it was through a collaboration of our real estate team and our crypto team, formed something called the Realm Fund, which is something you all might have heard of in the press. Invested by some of the top crypto and crypto VCs in the game, like say Galaxy Interactive. The whole goal here, or the whole vision here, is that people are going to spend more and more time in virtual worlds, living their lives there, potentially having jobs there, and doing everything social to romantic to professional. And so the idea with the Realm Fund is to look at these parcels of land as opportunities to develop, much like you would in digital real estate, and then actually be able to say, in the example of Star Atlas, build a ship, hire crew members, and help explore the outer reaches of space, while also throwing really cool parties on these ships, on these planets. And we feel like this is simply a new frontier, and that stretches the definition of what real estate is and what real estate development is. And that our crypto team is excitedly took on. And when it comes to Star Atlas, obviously, there's a lot of opportunities for our Realm Fund to be long-term developers in the outer reaches of space.
So safe to say there's going to be some roaming bands of Republic crew out in the high risk zone.
Certainly, you know, we have to huddle up and really get our strategy. None of us have really gone on a virtual space expedition before, but we're really excited to definitely be out there in the open and put our skin in the game here.
Looking forward to it, man. And one final comment, just because there was a really great discussion in our Discord here last night where we were actually discussing the economic impact of whales in the space and the player's ability, or the minnow's ability, if you want to use that nomenclature, to purchase and own land, given the potential for this auction system around land ownership itself. And the debate was leading down the direction of, this is going to create fiefdoms where, you know, the individual player can't control land, but the whales will own everything. And you know, I love that you addressed the land value tax. That's one way that we combat that. If it's not land that's actually being deployed and used and productive, then the player is just exposed to a constant burn. But you know, the key point that I want to make here, and I do want to make sure we have time for questions, but the key point I want to make here is that I do believe that the metaverse will be the largest job market and job economy in the history of humankind. And what's really compelling about it is people will have the ease of access of changing position should they be unsatisfied with their conditions. And this is something that just doesn't exist in physical space, like in reality, right? You're trapped by your geographic borders in many cases, or at least it's very high friction to be able to move from one location to another. And we even know how difficult it is to, say, get citizenship in America, which is where a lot of immigration occurs. But within the metaverse, you know, that barrier disappears, and it's going to be a highly competitive, highly engaging job marketplace that also creates a tremendous amount of jobs and opportunity for people around the world, with or without deep pockets. So, you know, really, really exciting to me. I don't think we're building a fiefdom economy or building an economy that can support countless people, well beyond millions. You know, should the tech be capable, I think of the global population as a potential audience for Star Atlas. So we might, hey, you know, long term be a game that breaks billions of users that are playing consistently.
That's really well said, Michael. And I just want to extend one point about the whole relationship between, you know, the stereotypical idea in games that there are whales and minnows. I think, you know, after many iterations of Star Atlas, our aim here to really not necessarily, I want to say, limit the potential of, say, well-capitalized players, say like whales, to purchase in, but it's going to be very clear that the more you actually spend time and earn in the game is going to act as a complementary force to those who are buying a lot of the fixed initial investments, if you will, into ships and other infrastructure. And so these whales aren't going to have, it's going to be sort of prohibitively expensive for them to try to conquer it all for themselves. And rather, they're really going to have to rely on the teamwork and governance of their regional factions to make sure that they all have the correct alignment as they go out into space, and that it's a fun experience for everyone.
I love that you touched on the governance. Guys, if you haven't read the white paper, please go to staratlas.com, download it, give it a read through. It's a wealth of information. It's really going to explain not only the fantastic game mechanics that have been developed, but the underlying economy of those, how utility is driven, how value is driven, and how you can actually utilize this product in that play to earn model. But I think we're going to see, this will be my last comment, Santi, we'll take questions. I think we're going to see a massive injection of capital into any metaverse. We're already seeing it with virtual worlds, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually a great thing, because that creates far more opportunity for people, right? And even if it is people that are purchasing and owning land and then employing 10 people to manage that property for them, that's 10 jobs that otherwise didn't exist. So defaulting back to my my prior point, I think that the metaverse will be the largest employer of people globally at some point in the future.
Guys, I don't know if you were trying to get me hyped, but you achieved it. Like, I'm hype as hell. We'll let someone in from the community to ask some questions. I think Ian is your name. Welcome.
Wow, finally. Hi, Michael.
Hello, hello, and welcome.
Yeah. So it's Ian with Sev running the unofficial pricing and trading channel. I'm enjoying doing that, supporting the team. So it's been amazing, by the way. I mean, I've been here since pretty much the beginning of the year, and just seeing how you guys have evolved and the spirit that's building, and it's just absolutely amazing. I always thought it would happen, but it's wonderful to be part of it. So I'm loving the big picture, Michael. If we go down to once the mini game goes live, and we're into phase 1 of earnings, the first month, phase 2 of earnings, the second month, and obviously things are going to evolve. If you had a tier 1, for example, what would you think the earnings might be for someone fully engaged with the game? I don't know, a couple of hours a day in a month, and I've got in mind kind of the Axie model there, and then I've got a follow-up question to that around scholarships.
Yeah, and Alex, feel free to jump in here as well. I mean, we're not initially placing any, say, target yield, target earnings rate. What we will be doing is kind of mapping income to the investment or capital requirement to own an asset per se. So it really is going to be quite diverse and contingent upon what you own, right? How much land you own. So you gave the specific example of tier 1 land claim. We are not releasing any information right now about the exact earnings potential, and I also want to clarify to my earlier point in the conversation that this is going to be an extremely iterative process, and it's a good thing we have great partners like Republic Crypto to evolve that with, because for the most part, we could set every variable and create every formula and then deploy it into action, and we still have to go back and change it. So this is going to be more of, we're going to put stuff in effect. We're going to analyze the results, and then we'll make subtle changes over time to maintain balance. And Alex, I saw you, your mic was off there. So.
No, Michael, I think you're covering it quite well. Speaking from looking into video games for quite a while now, and actually, having grown up with a close relative working on video game design, as both an economist and a video game player, it's very easy, or you can spend a lot of time doing a lot of armchair theoretics and philosophizing over how the game is going to play out. I think for us, and a lot of my practice here is going to be designing a framework whereby we can take in lots of relevant and rich data and being able to apply that to the most concise model that we can build for the Star Atlas economy, to make sure we can identify all the levers that we can pull on to make sure the game is balanced. So whether that be calculating what the average barrier of entry is for a new user, or in general, how expensive is it to go from mining on one parcel all the way up to building that aspirational structure, which is like a mothership for your faction. We're going to be taking a very close look at how those progressions proceed from step by step, making sure that no one feels like they're getting blocked along the way, and making sure that obviously Star Atlas and all of its governors are well incentivized to be adjusting these parameters in the favor of the long-term usage of the game.
Alex, a quick question, please.
Oh, please, yes.
So if we just look at the mini game, and I think I understand the big picture, and it's amazing. But for the mini game, if we go to a play to earn model and possibly a scholarship model, there's a couple of big players out there right now. You've typically got an amount of money in, be it $500, $1,000, and you've got a payback period of, somewhere around 3 months at the minute for most of the big players. And you can loan out your assets. Do you see that within the mini game being a possibility?
I think with all I think with all decentralized applications like this, I think the market will, on the demand side, dictate how these assets end up getting used. Did I answer your question, or maybe there's something more specific I can address?
And it might help for, I mean, just from the game development standpoint, I can tell you some of the features and protocols, such as scholarships or the concept around scholarships. Those are things that we will be building over time, in integrating or developing out lending pools so people can take advantage of the assets that they own that they don't, care to deploy in the game themselves. If they don't want to play, there's still a way that they can monetize that asset by lending it out to somebody else for a fee, very much a sharing economy, but those will be later in development. Right now, our primary focus is just on making sure we get great game features that are also enjoyable, that do deliver on the play to earn promise, right? And so, one additional point on that is that it's quite difficult to model in advance something like an ROI on an asset, if you will, or a rate of return or revenue on an asset, given the fact that these are, tend to be volatile in nature. And so that can change minute by minute based on the underlying value of the asset that you're receiving. So again, difficult to model. We could use the assumption that the price never changes and try to give you a definitive answer. But I think the more practical approach is to see what the result is once we get players in the game.
Okay, I'll hand over to someone else. Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the questions. I will let someone else in. I would like to thank everybody who's here. Like, we have 400 people. It's amazing. As I always said, the support has been incredible. And yeah, thank you very much, guys, to the whole community. Super helpful. You have been like every day with the newcomers and with everyone. So yeah, I wanted to thank you. Okay, we have some people that don't want to jump into stage. They raise their hand. I will let one of the OGs then. I will let Funcracker in. He always has good questions.
Santi, I'm going to take the blame for that. It's probably when I encouraged people to raise their hands earlier.
Okay,
Hey.
Funcracker.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me back on stage. Super cool town hall this episode with all the guests. Thank you very much for being here and for sharing your insights. So I have a question. I think it's not really relevant for our guests today, but I do know the question popped up a lot. So I would like to know a little bit more about the Galactic Asset offering. Some people are afraid that the ships are going to sell out in a day. So my basic question is the GAO an ongoing sale? Will it be time limited? Can you share a little bit of information about what we can expect? And second question to that, will the prices be pegged to USDC? And if so, will we still be able to pay with Atlas and Polis? And if on the secondary market, will we then peg to Atlas or still to USDC? I'm curious how that's going to work, and I know a lot of other people are as well. So that's my question for today.
Always great questions, man. Thanks again for coming up on stage. To your first question, assets selling out quickly. You can think of this game development and release schedule to kind of be a perpetual sales cycle for us as a company, and so the potential will exist for assets to sell out quickly, or at least a tranche of assets to sell out quickly. But that's not to say that we won't issue an additional tranche later based on the total supply that we've defined, or issue future generations. And what's going to be really critical for us is ensuring that we're enabling the player to retain value. And I have to be very careful around that specific subject, but what we don't want to do is anything that's negatively impactful to our players and to the people that own assets. And so, a lot of variables will go into our decision to issue assets, and ultimately, the DAO and the players and governors will be the ones that get to decide on such economic factors, surrounding inflation and surrounding even development or feature releases, as well as like inflation schedules on asset releases. So to be more concise, though, the assets will be rolling out in multiple phases. So even if you were to miss an initial phase, another phase will roll out. And beyond that, we actually, I'm going to pause there. I'm not going to share that next comment. That might be just a little too informative of what the actual underlying strategy is, but we will be considering things like player growth in the user base, as well as ship or asset destruction in game through that high stakes gameplay, and then using that and modeling around that to determine when it's fair or justified to issue new assets out into the universe. So by and large, though, we want to ensure that many people can get into the game. So we're trying to create a model and a strategy around it that will enable that. And I'm sorry, can you just repeat the second question?
Yeah, super. Thanks first for this very elaborate answer. Super clarifying, I think. The second question was, will the GAU prices be pegged to USDC? And if yes, will we be able to pay with Atlas/Polis? And how will the secondary market look like? Will the prices also be pegged to USDC or to Atlas, or can we choose?
Yeah, so two components going into the initial decision, which for us was to accept USDC for asset purchases. And the first of which is really kind of I wouldn't call it a technology limitation, but and actually, if you guys want to jump in on the Serum side to talk about this, but we need to create a new market for every currency that we want to accept. And so that means that we also have to divide out the assets that we're selling amongst those markets, because we are fully integrated with the DEX. And so we can't have a single pool of assets and allow for an array of payment types. So the first and foremost was, what is the time demand on our developers? And also, how can we best balance the amount of assets that are available in the marketplace? Did you have a comment?
Yeah, the only thing I would add as well is, like, it's quite easy to have, say, like an Atlas USDC market, and then have an Atlas / ship or whatever asset you want market. And then you can just have an auto route through both of those markets to actually make it feel like one transaction. So yeah, just wanted to say, like, it's quite plausible that you could just use USDC to purchase a ship, and it actually routes through the different markets.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. As you guys can tell, learning things on the fly all the time. I'll make sure to discuss that with Jacob. But the second component was, we have pretty high operating costs for the company. And so, what we don't want to have to do is create this like volatility in markets where we're accepting Atlas for the payments of assets, but then we immediately need to go out and just sell that Atlas so that we can actually fund continuous development. And so, for us, the most seamless path forward was, let's just accept USDC. That allows us to pay our operating costs and doesn't have any impact on the external price of Atlas. However, there are several functions within the game and all functions really within the metaverse that require payment in Atlas.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. That makes complete sense. I already know the follow-up question is going to be from people, how can I use Atlas then if I cannot buy anything for it? I think at this point in time, your answer will be you can exchange it for different currencies on ADEX, for example, or you can keep it for later. But I just want to throw it out there because I know that's the next question people are wondering about. If you can shine a little bit of light on that.
Of course. Yeah. And Santi, maybe we'll just make this the last question. Sorry, guys, we weren't able to get a ton of questions, but we had some amazing people up here that we're partnered with, and really appreciate them coming up. But so, the first, there's several mechanics. So one being able to stake Atlas, which will generate some yield for the player. It will also provide discounts on any fees that get implemented into the NFT marketplace. And so, multiple advantages to holding Atlas, staking it, generating yield, discounted fees. It also will be available on Radium in AMMs as well as in their fusion pools. So you can use it in a DeFi capacity. Within the game, though, all of the expenses within the game, including the tax system, the land value tax in the game, are all based in Atlas. And so if you're refueling your ship, or repairing your ship, or purchasing a consumable, or paying taxes on land, or really any financial activity that takes place in the metaverse is going to have to be paid for with Atlas. All of your operating costs. And that also includes things like replacing mining drills on your mining equipment if it degrades over time. So anytime there's degradation in the game that requires capital input, that's going to be in the form of Atlas. And so you will need Atlas to be able to play in the long run. And the idea is that the Atlas that you're earning can help you cover those operating costs. But very, very similar to the way that anybody who is managing a business or managing an enterprise would have to manage their costs associated with that activity.
Super. Thank you very much for the detailed answer, and apologies for claiming so much time. But I think this is very useful information for a lot of people. So yeah, thanks very much, guys.
What I would like to do, Santi, Pablo, if you're still there, we had a blockbuster week or couple of weeks, just with, and Matei, I know you're out there as well, with releases, with announcements, with articles, as well as just growth across all of our social channels. Did you have any comments you'd like to make just related to the growth of the community?
I have some comments as well on that front. Like,
yeah, I think Santi has done a phenomenal job at really bridging all our different channels. It's really cool to see everything come alive. We have various data sources that are coming within the company, from concept design to UE5, still shots and static images, to our development team and our engineering team, our UE5 engineering team, across the board, right? There's all this data that is just creating this mycelium of information that soon everyone will be able to digest through the game in the metaverse. And I think what's exciting there is that now that we're coming up to these closer areas of releasing more information of that final product, like the economic paper, like the teaser trailer, the new website, opening up the mini game, faction release and name registration, and for the rest of the year, these various in-game asset drops. It's just really amazing to see how a community can really be a part of that growth, and not necessarily this a company or business trying to push so much. It's coming from within, and yeah, Santi's doing a phenomenal job at the forefront with the community. Shout out to all the guilds that are out there. I see you're super active. Michael, putting a pin on the comment around that the metaverse is going to be the biggest source of employment in the future. I mean, to see guilds form and the organizations of guilds, and even just investors funding guilds at this point, that's going to be such an amazing new model of shared economies. The shared economy is going to also be very, very strong within this metaverse. So really excited to see how that's all going to play out. Back to you, Santi.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the growth has been huge, and that the community members have been amazing, like super helpful in every channel, helping newcomers to understand what's Star Atlas, what we're doing. So I want to give a huge shout out to all our community members. We have been hanging out. You guys, Paulo and Michael, have been really active in the community. Before we dropped everything, like this week, we came to the channels and just started spamming. So yeah, it was really fun. And yeah, that's all my comments that I have on this matter. I wanted to ask you, Michael, one quick question. Like, how important are guilds in the Star Atlas metaverse?
I would say they're a foundational unit of the game. But before I get into that, we've been so busy that Santi recruited me into Discord to make sure that we were getting proper coverage over there. So trying to step up to the task at hand. But yeah, man, I think that the guild system is really what's going to drive a lot of the collective value that gets created within the game. And when we were talking about things like capital inflows and the individual player who may not have a competitive advantage or ability to purchase such assets or compete with larger players, despite the fact that we are trying to disincentivize that specific behavior of buying and not utilizing. But through the guild system and through the governance structure, you'll be more impactful, right? Your voice will be heard. And so to recap on the governance system, it's the external DAO, which is the Polis DAO, and then it goes down into faction DAO, and then it goes down into regional DAOs, and we could even see that extending into like decentralized autonomous corporations managing their own DAO treasuries. And all of the people staking Polis within that organization have the ability to influence what decisions the faction makes. But you become a part of a collective, right? You're no longer an individual roaming around in deep space. You're actually a bigger unit that is more powerful and more informed and more sophisticated in what you should do. And the one core example that I would have there is that we lost Pablo, but the one core example I would have there is like, say for example, you as a clan are employing people to operate mining equipment for you so that you're not exposed to so significantly to the land value tax. But you have too many people mining and not enough people providing defense. Well, you as the clan will have the ability then to vote on bolstering your defenses or spending on defenses or even hiring external security patrols to manage property for you. But all of those are financial decisions that will need to be made by the clan itself. And space is a lonely place, and I don't think that any player would do exceptionally well exploring it or navigating it on their own. And I think that there's a great motivation to join with other players and to best maximize your experience in Star Atlas. And before we close, Alex might have some comments on that as well. So I just want to open up one more time for him before we close out here.
Whoops, I totally got stuck on mute. No, but yeah, it's gonna be a very carefully balanced game, where a lot of the times the teams in their regional DAOs, people are gonna start off quite generalized in their roles. But much like how in developed economies we have more specialization, we do envision that in the game, as factions become more competitive, they will have to learn how to govern efficiently and specialize in roles in a way that probably maximizes around the parameters that we put in. So yeah, that's just all I wanted to close out with.
Thank you. So I think we are about to close. I don't know, Michael, if you had some extra comments, but if you don't, then we can finish our town hall today. Well, I guess you don't.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I don't. Just again, want to thank our guest Adrian. I want to thank Alex for coming up. I want to thank our internal team because everyone on the team has just been putting in 110% effort, if you can say that, maximum effort, flat out, a lot of hours, a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment. And so, everybody from the engineering department, the product department, the revenue department, operations, everybody is really just crushing it. And I can tell you that there's so much passion and enthusiasm for what we're doing at Star Atlas. And obviously, none of this would be possible without the amazing talent that we have on our team. So really want to thank the team, but also, the great community that we see forming here. And it's awesome to see 400 people join Discord and listen to us talk about, a video game. So really thankful for y'all being out here. I love the good conversations that we're having in Discord, and look forward to seeing you guys all in the next town hall.
Yep. And again, thank you to Adrian, Alex, and Bartos for joining today. It was awesome to have you here. And I'm sure that everyone loved your comments. So nothing else for today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining today's Town Hall. And yeah, looking forward to see you in the community.
Signing out.
Thanks, everyone.
Power to the people.
And stick it to the man.